Right, so some stories have come out on Bruno Fernandes to Saudi. Now, first part of me thinks no chance, but then the other part of me thinks he's turning 31. There was some interest with Saudi last summer, and there was some reports that Bruno could be tempted. Now, he is not unsellable. For me, I feel like Bruno Fernandes, you can't put a price on him, what he brings on and off the pitch. But there is a price on Bruno. Ineos could be willing to sell Bruno for the right price. Saudi are pushing, and look, it's a possibility. We're going to talk about Bruno, the news on Bruno exit, how possible it is. Do I think he will go? What would the price be? And more. We're also going to talk about UCL football, the budget boost, why this is key for United, but also Amorim's future. I think if we don't win the Europa League, we are set back another year or two in this rebuild due to funds and pull. Although some could say if you don't have European football, you can focus more on the league. I don't know. Anyway, continuing on, Franco Mastantuono latest, United could be making a move for him. Could they be ready to trigger the release clause? Mantato and Camerson to be involved in the Europa League squad is being reported. Bilbao injury blows. Nico Williams could be out for the second leg. And Manchester United Academy manager could leave. So this isn't just about Bruno. This is all your latest Manchester United news rounded up in 10 minutes. I do apologise I wasn't live today, but bank holiday, busy. So, Al Hilal are meeting Bruno Fernandes' agent and lawyer today to discuss signing the player before the Club World Cup on June 14th. Now, Al Hilal are ready to spend in the market. The Club World Cup's coming up. That's very important for their image. They want to do well. This is really important for the Saudi. They're willing to spend big. Mohamed Salah signing a new deal. He's no longer the target. The funds, the focus would be on Bruno Fernandes because while he's older, he's still in his prime. First of all, I'm just going to say something here. I think Bruno Fernandes has got 4 to 5 years still left at the top level. I think he's one of those players that could be playing in the Premier League till 35. I know he's turning 31. I think he's got another few years in him. But Ineos might think, oh, he's going to that age. He's probably going to start to decline. Do we cash in now? But the problem is when we've got so many young players and so little experience, for me, cashing in on Bruno is next summer if we look like a stable squad, and we don't look like a stable squad right now. Maybe next summer you do cash in on him if with the squad looks stable, but I still think when you've got such young raw rebuild, you still need that experience with Bruno and even Casemiro, who I think we need to move on potentially. But these last 2 months has been really good. You can see the value of his experience and how good he's been in the Champions League, not Champions League, Europa League game. Same with Maguire, players that a lot of fans would move on. They've been key in these knockout games to win trophies. So I think you have to remember that. But I want to bring up what Paddy said and relate this to other news on Bruno. He said this: I said this last summer regarding Bruno Fernandes, and once again, my opinion is the same this summer. Bruno Fernandes was rewarded with a new contract to keep him, and Al Hilal's offer is greater than what it was last summer due to missing out on Salah. Man United will not give Fernandes a new deal to stave off interest this summer, and money made on Bruno Fernandes would be pure profit at this stage. Ineos have shown no player is unsellable. This could happen. Part of me thinks no chance Saudi getting Bruno, but it could happen. There is a possibility. Saudi were interested in Bruno last summer. Whether Bruno was using Saudi to get a new deal out of Manchester United and the big new contract that Manchester United gave him, or he was interested in Saudi, isn't known. But Bruno had talks with Saudi, and it was believed by those in Saudi that Bruno was open to the move. And Bruno, made some strong negotiations with Saudi, which is why he was given the new contract. Maybe we got played by Bruno's agent. He wasn't interested in Saudi because there's a feeling with Bruno that he wants to win trophies at the top level, and you're not going to do that in Saudi. But he's also 31, and the money you're going to get offered is ridiculous. So Man United offered him a big contract, got him to stay, fend off Saudi interest. But Saudi could come in this year with an even bigger contract, especially if we don't get Champions League football and we just, we're not competing in Europe next season. He could be tempted by Saudi. But I don't know if he was actually taking Saudi serious last summer because he wanted to go or because he wanted a new contract. Who knows? Because I don't think Bruno specifically wants out of Manchester United. I know I didn't pronounce that right. But I think it's something that he could be tempted by. Like, Bruno loves Man United. He's not going to force his way out. He's going to be respectful. But I think there's a possibility he could. For me, I think if a Barcelona, Real Madrid, PSG come in for Bruno, I think you'd look at it and go, fair enough, he might want to go. He might want to win trophies at the top. A Saudi, I don't know. But there was a bit going on last summer. And United would sell Bruno for the right price. Like, what we know on Bruno is he could consider leaving, especially if we miss out on UCL football. He'd be more open to it, let's be honest. While he loves Manchester United, he's not got long left in his career. He'll want to make the money, more money. He might want to win trophies at a high level, but I don't know if PSG and Bayern or Barcelona and Real Madrid would pay the kind of money it would take to get Bruno, despite Real Madrid probably needing Bruno. Now, Man United wouldn't want to sell Bruno. They know it's important, but he's not unsellable. United, if you're looking at 100 million plus offers, are going to accept that for a 31-year-old player, even a player with the importance of Bruno Fernandes. With him signing this new deal, with him having a bit more time left on his contract, he's now going to be in the 100 to 150 million price range. The Saudi clubs can afford the asking price. They're willing to pay 100 million to bring in someone like Bruno. We know what Saudi are like. He did extend his contract last year, which helped fend off Saudi interest. And he would probably prefer to play at Barcelona, Bayern Munich, or PSG than Saudi. But United don't win the Europa League. We're not in European football next season. Saudi come in with a huge offer. Man United are going to accept 150 million for Bruno Fernandes. Let's be honest. He could consider it. He was having serious talks with Saudi last year. Do I want Bruno Fernandes to go? Absolutely not. I do not want Bruno Fernandes to go. But we have to talk, 100 plus million, there's a possibility. Al Hilal with the money, they know it's going to be 100 plus million. I can see them making a bid if they've got an indication from Bruno that he's open to the move. And last summer they did. Whether Bruno was using that for a new contract at United, who knows? But Ineos, I think, would accept 100 to 150 million for me. For me, right now, the price tag's 150 million. For me, I think for Bruno to leave Man United, I want 150 million. I am Bruno's biggest fan. I love Bruno Fernandes. But would I take 150 million and cash in on Bruno Fernandes this summer? Yes. Do I think Bruno Fernandes is almost priceless? Do I know how to replace Bruno Fernandes? Absolutely not. His impact on and off the pitch is crazy. I think losing Bruno would be massive. But if you got 150 million for a 31-year-old, you would have to look at it and say, I don't want to sell Bruno this summer. I hope Saudi don't go in for him, because 150 million, I don't know if you can turn that down in the position we're in. It's one of those, though, that if we sold Rashford well, we sold Anthony well, we sold Sancho well, we got Champions League football and we had money, I'd push for £200 million plus, and they wouldn't do that, Saudi. I love Bruno. I don't want him to go. I wouldn't sell him this summer, but £150 million exit. Ineos would accept £150 million for Bruno. They might accept something as low as £100 million for Bruno. I think we're well within our rights to push for £150 million for Bruno, because, look, John Duran is not like John Duran. I rate him, but he, again, went for like so much money. At 21 years of age, only having half a good season in the Premier League is all he's had. So you look at the money Saudi would pay, and I think 150 million for Bruno, things could happen. I think these Al Hilal talks could change everything. I do. I think Bruno will stay. I think Bruno will be here next season, but I don't think Bruno staying is like you could say it with 100% confidence. Like, I think Bruno will stay, but he could go. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think he will stay, but he could go. Like, there's players that will go, there's players that will stay, and Yoro, but Bruno's one of those, like Maino, where I think he will stay, but he could go. He's not off the table. That's what I mean. And I think, these Al Hilal talks, if Bruno's interested, could change everything. If Bruno shows interest in Al Hilal, which hopefully he doesn't, I would like him to want to stay at United, but he is in his older years, everything could change. And I think 150 million would probably do it. Let's continue on into other talking points. So, Champions League football, what is this financial boost? Why is this huge for Amorim? So, we would earn 70 million simply by being in the UCL next season, which is a signing, or there's two signings, a big signing and a little signing, or two medium signings, two £35 million signings. That is two signings, essentially, if you spend that well. That is Cunha paid off easily. Even with 8 straight losses, we're going to get that in UCL. If we have a strong campaign, we get into the knockouts, we get further in, we will get 100 million, we will get 100 million plus if we made it all the way to the final. If we won, I think it's nearly like 150 million, I believe. And I think this is huge for Amorim's future, because 70 million and being in the Champions League and the pool that would have, of course, then our wage bill goes up by about £10 million. If we're on 70 million, so it's about 60 million profit. So it probably would just pay off the Cunha deal. But if we don't get Champions League football and we struggle to sell, we can't do this much in the summer. And Ruben Amorim might have 3 new additions, and then, he's still got the same squad that we know don't suit his football, aren't good enough. And it just makes the rebuild process under Ruben Amorim slower. So I think it's so important that we win this Europa League. Going into other news, United weighing up a move for Mastantuono, potentially here. Dean Jones has spoke about this a couple of times, and he said that United are considering triggering the release clause. The decision is influenced by Real Madrid's lack of urgency to sign him. Club sees potential opportunity to act ahead of rival suitors. So multiple outlets, incredible outlets, have linked us to Franco Mastantuono. Romano has confirmed interest from United and Chelsea. Now, as far as I'm aware, the player wants Real Madrid. He dreams of Real Madrid. He's waiting for Real Madrid. But because Real Madrid just don't seem that bothered about going for him or triggering his release clause, he may have the chance to go elsewhere. PSG, United, Chelsea seems to be in the race. Something tells me he'll go PSG. If United trigger that release clause, it could push him to go towards United. But apparently he does want Real Madrid and would reject United for Real Madrid. But Real Madrid don't seem to be willing to pay the release clause. Now, I don't know if United are going to pay the release clause, but sources suggest that United and PSG are considering paying the release clause or trying to negotiate a deal with River Plate just under the release clause. Now, for me, I don't really want to spend more than 25 million on him because I've not seen enough of him and he's still relatively young. But River Plate are well within their rights to want 37 million. A few other stories going about as well is that Jayden Camerson and Bentito Mantato are not involved with the United Academy for the under-21s today, so I assume they're going to be featured in Europa League. Well, I say featured, not play, but they'll be in the squad. Apparently, they're going to be key to Ruben Amorim's preparations because Delors is out injured, so whether they will play, I'm not sure in the Europa League, but I think they'll be in the bench. I think they'll be in the squad, which is why there's no Mantato or Camerson for the under-21s today. They could fill in at right wing back. And in other news, in regards to United versus Bilbao, Nico Williams is not in training today for Bilbao as they prepare for the second leg against United, so that could be a big blow. And then last but not least, the last story I wanted to get into came from Steve Railston on Adam Lawrence, and he said that Adam Lawrence could leave his position as under-18s manager. He has not made a final decision and could stay in Manchester, but there is the feeling that he's looking for a new challenge and could leave the club, and it's looking more likely now that he'll leave the club, which would be a shame because Adam Lawrence has done a fantastic job with the under-18s. We were recently linked with Jim Fraser, but I think he would be doing. I don't think he would come in as under-18s manager. I think he'd be more of a chief of the academy. And I think that got debunked earlier by Academy Scoop, the Jim Fraser rumours. But Adam Fraser would be a huge loss because he's done great work with the United Academy. But look, he's well within his rights to look for a new challenge. Let me know your thoughts down below on all the news. Thank you for watching. Bye.